can't push.
Okay. All right, we're looking at the Esports World Cup. We're looking at the Esports World Cup. All right. Okay, so we got Hikaru versus Faruja. Okay. All right. So we got Hikaru versus Faruja, and looks like Hikaru is kind of feeling the tension here a little bit, but he got 6 minutes on the clock, so it's not actually looking that bad. The problem right here is that Hikaru's knight isn't really doing anything, and black is gonna start opening up the position. So, I mean, if you kind of just give like black like a couple moves, he's just gonna start taking everything. If he gets d4 in, bishop here, and he gets the queen in, for example, or stuff like that, it can get really deadly. Even the engine right now is suggesting a really crazy move, which is takes, and d3. Queen takes, rook takes f2. You deflect the king away from the piece. So there are already some really nasty stuff that can happen right now. And when like the best move is kind of like retreating, yeah, it's gonna be kind of tough to find. Let me see what Hikaru plays. Hikaru retreats. Okay, queen e8, queen g6, queen d7. Are they gonna repeat? Are you gonna repeat? Come on, Faruja. Are you gonna repeat? And they've repeated. Oh man, but I swear these French like positions are harder to play than like you would expect. Because even though it looks like white has more space, black is just completely fine here. And I mean, yeah, queen e8, queen here. I feel like there's something better though, right? Like you can get this bishop somewhere, right? You can maybe even just playing f5, bring your king here, and then like playing like g5 or something. Like, is that an option? Let's say I'm just gonna make some random moves, but like I feel like there might be something here. White does have b4 though, so I mean, yeah, that makes sense why you would make the draw there. It's a pretty cool game. All right. Let's take a look at Alright, so Hikaru beat this. Wait. Let's see the results of this. So winners bracket, Hikaru wins here. It's Hikaru versus Faruja here. The finals. And then for the losers bracket, there's losers bracket. Okay, finals group C.
Finals.
Okay. Maxime versus Arjun. Group A. Levon. Levon went crazy. Levon is going crazy. Like, I don't know what happened. Something snapped. Alright, Magnus. Shoot. Holy crap. Let's see what's happened in this game. D4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3. Alright. Opening looks pretty good. h3 so if knight ever comes here, you get the bishop back. Okay. Alright. So e3, queen here, bishop out. Takes, maybe like takes, king f1. And you're arguing that you have the two bishops, but so even though your king might be a little stuck, I mean, who knows? Might even bring like the rook into the attack. Like if castles, maybe even h4, and then knight d7, for example. We have rook h3 maybe. So, I mean that's an idea. Anyways, there, takes, castles. All right, pretty cool. Black is not taking here because rook b1, and you take on b7, and there's just a lot of pressure. So knight d7, queen back, defending the pawn now. A5 wants to take space. Maybe you want to bring the queen back or something. Queen a7 or something like that. Just try to expand on the queen side. Oh my god. What the hell just happened? Alright. Okay. So knight e1 in order to reroute to d3. a4. Rook c1. And now rook e8. Okay. Rook e8, I guess you want to take this open file. You maybe want to move like the bishop out the way. The open file. Something like that. Queen back. Bishop back. Okay. b4. And now, if you en passant play like queen b6, is that fine? Takes, and then queen b6. Just probably, I mean, that looks the most natural. Engine saying you want to go b5, and I mean, it's probably the reason why you want to go b5 is, I mean, your knight's already placed here, so it's like you can already jump in. You can already jump in here. Say a3, just bring the knight, queen here. You could get the knight in already, and it's already starting to look kind of iffy because, especially since, you know, if you were to ever push this pawn on a3, because this pawn right over here is a weakness, right? This bishop is going to be constantly targeting it. So if you want to move this knight, you're going to have to defend the pawn. However, if you let the knight get in, now this pawn is just going to be permanently glued to the rook. I mean, this rook is permanently glued to the pawn. So then this kind of poses a lot of developmental problems. Like, how are you going to get this rook into the game? Right? Are you just going to, maybe you put like the queen in the corner or something? Or you knight b2, try to trade it off. Yeah, engine saying knight e5. But still, it's pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky. b4. Takes. This looks natural. But then b4 is a really good move. Just taking space, not allowing black to have counterplay here. And this is this is actually a really tough position for black. Let me see if, wait, does rook a6 work? Or is there like b5 or something? What the hell? Oh my god. What the hell just happened? Wait, does rook a6 work? Yeah, rook a6 is fine. I was thinking rook a6, so you bring the other rook into the game. Knight a4, queen back or something. Queen b5. And you bring the other horse in. Wow. Wait, rook a8. b1. It's still cramped. Yeah. Yeah, the problem is that it's kind of like white is effectively up a pawn. Like, if this pawn can't move forward, that means that this pawn's not really gonna do anything, because, you know, the queen is in front of the pawn. So effectively, if this pawn can't really move and this entire whole chain can't really move, it's like you have 2 pawns versus like 3. This is like, pretty sure it's called like the minority attack, right? Because you're using a minority of pawns against like the majority of pawns. And bishop takes, you probably just play rook b1 and then you just win the piece. So that is why you don't do that. Anyways, let's see what happens. Knight e4 takes. Have to take back. Knight takes. Knight to c5. All right, that looks good. I mean, if you take here, then after b takes, after queen goes back, you probably have queen d3. And now this pawn is sort of backwards, and you just stack all the pressure here, and then white is just probably winning there. Let me see, knight f6. All right, that's a good move. You want to go to here. Bishop e5. Wow, dude, Magnus is actually crazy. Bishop e5 is a really good move. Holy. Knight d5. Now what do? Do you bring the queen out, or what do you do? He takes the pawn. All right, that's good. Alright, takes. Rook b1 probably. Alright, knight c5, going back. Takes. Ooh, I really like this. I really like this. You always have potential to break through, but it's also like black doesn't really have much counterplay. Like if you go rook here, like all of a sudden if I get e4 and your back rank gets really weak, I already have sort of ideas, obviously not right now, but I'm already having ideas of maybe trying to infiltrate, right? See, queen f3 is one of the top moves of the engine. Even just like a solidifying move like bishop here. And this effectively makes this pawn right over here useless, right? And now this is like, it's sort of like white is up a pawn. So even though the position materially is equal, I don't even know if that's a word, but this pawn, these two pawns are effectively rendered useless from this one pawn. So then it's basically like a 4-on-3 on the king side. If I go b5 here, the rook puts pressure here. Can't do anything, right? Just probably rook takes. So he goes queen f3. I know he does not go queen f3. Queen e4. All right, you probably just drop the bishop back, right? Probably to d4 maybe, or h2, something like that. Or d4. Probably bring the queen out to b3 maybe. Bring the queen out to b3. Is that? Ooh, knight f4, and then it gets tricky. So he goes this way. That's smart. That's smart. Take, take. Knight c7. Yeah, the problem is just this pawn now. But if you play here, then the knight goes here. So that's a really good move. Rook here, knight here. Rook b4. f6, f4. Okay, you could probably just bring your kings in. Or king e6 maybe. I'll bring king e6, but then king f3, and maybe like g6, stop any pawn advancements, and then maybe like rook a4 or something. Try to get in, something like that. Yeah, black gets the open file. How is Magnus gonna win this game? Black has the open file. I have no idea how Magnus is gonna win this. Rook a2. Okay. e4, and of course something like that happens. Okay, e4, rook goes back because I mean it's not really doing anything on a2, and oh my goodness, I'm about to go crazy, guys. Okay, rook back, king goes forward, rook d8. All right, that trying to cut the king off. Okay. I'm just suggesting rook a2 back. I guess there's not really anything white can do in this position, because if e5 you just take. Bishop can't take because then you just take this. And it's like, after king e6, like, any pawn push white does, it's only going to be bad for white. If you go here, let's say king like c4 for example, you can literally just go back and forth. Like, white cannot break through. The problem is going rook d8. Is that now white kind of gets, I mean, first of all, white gets the file, which is kind of like, eh. But then the rook goes down, and now it's like a little, I mean, if you trade, and it's probably still a draw, but it is pretty hard with this pawn controlling everything and with the knight on the edge of the board, right? You always have ideas of maybe sneaking the king in, especially since the white king is active and these pawns are really controlling. So you trading rooks, okay, and then you go back, probably, and f5. f5 is a really good move, because now it's essentially, it's kind of like this pawn. It's like a pawn that's like annoying, and especially kind of renders these pawns useless, because now the h pawn can't really go, because you just take. And g5, now you have a target here. So, I mean, king here, you probably just have, I mean, something, you probably have like, yeah, just push, takes here. Probably even bring the king up, because that's probably fine. But yeah, entrance says bishop f6. Yeah, that's clean. Just take this pawn. Yeah. So yeah, these pawns are effectively rendered useless. King goes back. e5. If you take, bishop takes, attacking the pawn. King goes back. King f4. You advance. Rook d2. Does rook d2 work? I'm not sure. The rook can get in. The rook can get in. So that's why rook d5 is played. Rook a8, sacrificing the pawn. That's what happened in the game. Rook b8. And now this is a big problem. The knight isn't really do anything. Right? You kind of allowed the rook to get a little too active here. G5 check is apparently you got to repel the king first. And then after that you can start, annoying the king like this. And now the rook can't really get in, and if like rook you can't play rook d1, but let's say rook c1 for example, probably just wait with the rook. Like here, just probably wait. All right, you're getting the king to a file where it's always going to be glued to this bishop. When you go rook d5 though, that takes away control there, right? When you play rook e8, that still maintains control of the file. You're not letting white get anything, right? Rook here, king here. If you go rook d1, you have I should say play a random move. If you go rook d1, you just have knight c3. Bishop's pinned, and you just win a rook, right? So, not saying I would have played better, but I probably would have lost in the first 10 moves against Magnus. Either of those players, I would have lost in the first 10 moves. All right, king f4, rook d5, rook a8 takes, and now rook b8. And now all of a sudden, this bishop kind of comes alive. Remember how it's pressuring here? Well, when you don't restrict the bishop, the rook and the bishop teams up, and this is a very deadly thing. f5, probably just take, and take here. You take here, that's mate. That is checkmate. You can't stop this. What the hell? If king g5, you cannot stop this. You cannot run away. You cannot hide. What the hell? That is a crazy concept. That is crazy. You repel the king. You literally can't do anything. There's no way to defend the pawn. So I think just letting the rook in is probably like not the best option there. But oh yes, come on. Oh my god, come on. Only active games, yes. Magnus versus Duda.
You see it in the way he's shaking his...
Yes. Magnus versus Duda. Alright, come on. You gotta give a check here. Queen e1, take the pawn. You have to take the pawn. And then maybe after takes, then I don't know what you do. Just keep giving checks, I guess. Just you have to give the correct check though, because this check seems kind of You want to give a check here, so you're pressuring the pawn. And maybe taking here. Does that work? Does taking there work? Apparently not. Rook here. Oh, taking doesn't work because you give a check here. And then you're forced to trade queens. Oh, wow. Alright. Alright, he takes the pawn. Alright. Come on, Magnus. Come on, Magnus. Queen f1. Okay. Queen f1. I'm assuming you kind of give a check. Just keep giving checks, I guess. Assuming that's what you do. Just check. Check here. And maybe like a move like g6. Just bring the king up or something like that. The bishop's always defending here, so maybe just king h7 next. Alright, here, king a1. King a1. Queen c2. Oh, shoot. Rook a8. Queen b1. Oh, my God. And Magnus is going to take the W. This is crazy. That is crazy. Holy. This dude Magnus played king a1. And he was definitely planning this. He was definitely saw that. Alright, now we just push the pawn. Just keep pushing. b5. b5 or move the king up. King e5. Move. Yes. King d6. You just take. Make a queen. Oh my god. Magnus Carlsen. Oh, what a treat. What a treat this game was. Let's see how this one. Catalan takes. Get the pawn back later. Don't get the pawn back. b5. Take. It's pinned. So, can't really defend the pawn. Play c5. Knight d5. Alright. Castle, castle. So a lot of pressure already. B5 probably. Yeah. Here. And does knight f6 work? This says knight b6 is best. Does knight f6 work? No, apparently not, because e4 takes. Take here. Bring the rook in. It's not looking that good. Knight b6 is best, but after e4, then what happens? How is this any different? Takes. Knight takes. I don't see how this is. I don't get how this is any different. Here. Knight e4. I think that's the difference. You have c3. Ah, that's the difference, because his knight here doesn't really do anything. And then white always has ideas of playing e5 to fork you. But if you go to b6, your knight's not that much of a target. And then it can actually start causing havoc with c3 if you're able to bring the rook in, or bring the queen in. Like, for example, I don't even know, like probably here c3 takes queen a5 or something, queen c7, something like that. Not queen a5, of course, because the knight takes and not queen b6, because bishop takes here, but something like defending everything, like queen c7. And there is some pressure here. I'm just saying queen f6. What happens after e5? Queen f5 or bishop f5? Ah. Can't even play bishop b3, but just takes here. Wow. That is a very crazy idea. e4, bishop there, takes, castles, rook moves, bishop d6, takes. Brilliant, man. Here, d3. Here, queen takes. Queen's getting in. For example, here, maybe even ideas of c3. Takes, rook c8. And then here, even just queen b4. And you're just dead. So, and that is really cool idea. Takes, takes, queen f6. I mean, that looks kind of natural. That was low-key what I was thinking about. Rook h4. Threatening mate. h6. Now you take. So that's why rook d4 is bad. Threaten mate. Can't really do anything about it. White is just down to exchange here, but black does have some counterplay with the knight. But maybe, black does have some counterplay with the knight. So we'll see. Rook d4. Yeah, knight. Yeah, bishop f1. Yeah, so you guard the pawn. Can't really take here because probably just super pin. So yeah, bishop f1. You stop that. Rook d8. All right, sounds good. Queen b6. All right, that looks good. You want maybe a little b4, a little action going on here. Maybe a little a5, or even just stopping queen a5. Maybe even putting a little pressure there, right? Queen e3. All right, your queen relinquished defenses here. So let me take control of this file here. Bishop takes. Bishop g2. Just piling more pressure on the bishop. Bishop can't take because rook here. Yet that's actually the best move. Just taking is the best move, because what other move do you have, right? Queen a5. You literally just take. So takes, and queen c5. Now what? Bishop h3. Probably just want to reroute back to e6. Maybe close off the file. Just start wreaking havoc here. If the queen ever moves. Queen e7. Queen a5, yeah. And rook e3 is a mistake. Why is rook e3? Ah, rook e3 is a mistake because the bishop is able to block. I think you needed to go rook e1 because the bishop can't block, and now the rook is able to get in, or the rook is able to just be active. Here. Yeah. Oh! It's not just that the rook is able to be active. It's also, you're also threatening the queen trade. So here. Just take the pawn, and then the rook is... Oh, rook is able to have ideas of going there. No, of course not right now, because bishop takes, but... Wow. If c3, what happens? Let me see. Queen d5? Takes. Queen b4? Yeah, you can just check here, but king b1 is killer. Yeah, king b1 is killer. Okay. Rook e3, bishop goes back. And c3 is a blunder. Probably just you take off the rook. Yeah. b4. Rook there. Rook c5. You need to do it with tempo. Takes. You win the pawn back. That's still really tricky though. Rook c6 is fine. You're attacking this pawn. b3 is a great move. Yeah. That's why. Yeah, that was the difference. Rook c5. You don't allow b3 because the queen is attacked. A lot of differences. Like tiny differences. But you just have to keep giving checks. Take the f2 pawn, keep giving checks. Yeah, bishop takes, alright. And then he was kind of thinking about rook here and queen b1. It's just g6. Just wait, right?
Damit hatten wir dann einen flotten...
Just wait. If queen... I mean, if rook here, you just wait, right? King... Not king h7. King g7? Probably just go back. You could probably just wait here. If h4, probably just have h5. Yeah, white can't really do anything. Rook a3, probably just move the bishop back. Or do you bring the queen into c2 like that? I'm assuming you're going to be active and bring the queen in like this. Because if bishop here, then maybe like even queen b1 and b4, white's starting to push. But even then, you know, black has a lot of pressure here. Yeah, now queen c2 is bad because he has the queen b1. That's why. Oh, that's why you had to play g6 because g6 blocks queen b1. Oh my goodness, that is really. All right, come on, my boy Magnus. Magnus right here. Let's go, Magnus. Let's go, Magnus. Come on, Magnus. a5. Bishop a7. Alright, yeah. That's good. What the hell? What? And apparently this is better. How? Bring the knight in and you slide the queen in. I don't even know. The knight's even defending that. You even have bishop f1. How is this better? That is crazy. Yeah, bishop a7, that's... Yo, what the hell? Bishop a7. Knight here. Or no, sorry. Bishop here. If takes. Knight takes. Knight e3. Knight e3. Knight takes. Knight takes. Queen takes. And then what? What happens if you play bishop f1? Takes. Queen e6. Wait. Can you really not stop that? Is there really no way to stop that? You just bring the rook and play f5? What about queen f5? You can even take and play knight h4. And this is winning because black has just too many pawns. Oh wow. Oh, Magnus did it! Magnus! Oh my god, he actually did this. He actually did this. Probably just take here. Oh my god. Or rook d8 first, right? Rook d8 first. And let's say, I don't know, queen d1. You could probably just take there. Oh my god, Magnus. That is crazy. Magnus is crazy for that. King H2. Yeah, rook D8. Probably just tap the queen. Or Magnus takes the pawn. Queen E2. Okay, probably just give a check now. King back. Knight F4. Takes. Knight F2 here. Oh no, you don't play King H2. You play King G2. So that doesn't come with a check. And probably Knight G3. And then Knight G3. And do you bring the rook? No, because if you bring the rook, you probably have rook F1. And then that attacks there. What the hell is happening? Do you bring the knight back? Back and in? Something like that? Ah, but then we can go there. In. And apparently, this ain't winning. This is really complicated. Queen E2. Alright, you bring the other knight. Never mind. You're just at Queen E2. Here, it's probably fine. Knight F4. Bishop takes. Ooh. Something happened. Takes here. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Queen F4. King G1 probably. Yes. Because King G2, I mean, this is just not looking good. I mean, you have takes here. King G1. If you take here, then boom. Because King G2, that blocks that square. Alright. Wow. These are like only moves when Magnus takes the pawn. What was Magnus supposed to play here? Yeah, no way in hell Magnus is playing that. No way in hell Magnus is playing that. Alright. Knight e4 is fine, but the bishop f7, what the hell? And Duda plays it. Duda plays bishop takes f7. Knight f4, no. Not knight f4. Is there a rook move? What the hell is happening? Do you play a rook move? I'm assuming you play a rook move. And then, what if white matches that? Takes, knight f4. Black has nothing. Black has nothing. And if you go here, you probably just take. Black literally has nothing. I mean, probably go Queen G2, I'm assuming. Queen G2 here. King up or something? Nah, King there, you just go back. Engine says King G1 is best. And wow. Rook here. Then what? I'm assuming... is there knight h4? Knight h4 maybe? Wow. Holy crap. My man Duda busted out the... Oh, and Magnus made another mistake. Bishop g6, maybe? Does bishop g6 work? Because that comes with a check. And Queen g2. Oh no. Knight f5. That's a blunder. Because of knight f4? And Magnus finds that? And then this is a winning endgame. Oh my goodness. Magnus found that. What the hell? Yeah, you literally have no other option. You have to take this. You have to do this line. And then I don't even know. G5 or something. Bring the king. Holy crap. This is like one crazy game. This is one crazy game. Yeah, knight takes here. Takes. Actually, rook f8 is probably fine. It's probably fine. Wow. Let's see what happens. Rook f8. Assist blunder. Yeah, bishop h5. You want to stop the pawns. You can't let the pawns get going. All right, I'm assuming king move maybe? King move? Yeah. Right there, b6. Can't let it get a passed pawn. King 3. Apparently that's lost because probably rook f5, right? Probably rook f5, right? Yeah. Yeah, you have to be careful. c4, wow. Because you want to block it with c5. That's smart. Rook b8. King 3. Knight c5. Okay. Rook b4. No, rook b4 is knight e6 maybe. Yeah, rook b4 he probably has knight e6 maybe. Was he already knight e6? Does this work? Apparently this is losing. Rook a2. Take. c6. Bishop f3. Does this work? No, because then that comes with temple. Can you bring the king maybe? Knight b8 is a mistake. c5? What the hell? What is c5? I mean, oh, that defends the pawn. What happens after this? You just let the king get the pawn? What? King d5. You just let the king get the pawn? Yeah, king f6, yeah. Bishop g4. This is such a tough position. Rook a1. You lose the pawn. You lose the pawn. And now it might be white playing for a win. Knight c5. Knight e4 or something. You just start pushing. Knight takes. Rook g1. Here. Probably g4 maybe. Yes. Alright. Bring the knight somewhere. Bring the knight somewhere. You have to move the knight so this pawn gets pushing. But probably just bring the knight somewhere. Here? No, that probably doesn't work. The knight is not placed on a good square there. Here and bishop there, or bishop here and then you get the knight here to stop it from going to g2. But then is the h pawn going too fast? Oh, he goes knight e4. But then g3. You had to go knight here, so g3 you had knight f4. Or wait, what did you have to do? Wait, knight d3 is apparently bad. It's no, knight b3. What the hell? Wait. What the hell is knight b3? Rook is stocked. You need the knight to block the pawn. The bishop can handle the rook and 2 pawns. You needed the knight to block the pawn. But then rook d1, and then they're blasting out all these moves, and then now it's probably a draw. Oh my goodness.